want to welcome everybody out tonight. I think we're missing one other council member. I think Councilman McCoy is here tonight. There he is. I can barely see out. They got these bright lights on me, and I hope there isn't a glare coming out that's going to be too powerful for everybody. But we appreciate y'all coming out tonight. To begin our evening, we have Pastor Jason King from the Calvary Chapel. If he'd like to come up and offer the invocation, and we want to thank him for offering to do that.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I won't offer you any relief from the glare. So the mayor and I you guys are in trouble. It's an honor to be here, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. City Council, city officials, and leaders. It's a privilege to be here with you tonight and to offer prayer on behalf of our city. So would you all please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you, Lord, that we can come to you at times like this when we can look back and see what you have done and how you have blessed us, how you have provided for us and protected us. And as we now look forward to the year in front of us, God, we come to you. And I come to you, Lord, in the name of Jesus, and I pray for the leaders of this city, that you would bless them with wisdom. Not with human wisdom, Lord, that is limited, but from wisdom from heaven. We acknowledge, God, that you have foresight, and you know what's coming. And I pray for each of our city leaders, Lord, that you would abundantly bless them with wisdom to lead, to do right, and to make decisions justly. And I pray, God, that you would bless our city and our citizens. I pray that you would protect us and provide for us. And we thank you, Lord, for this meeting tonight. And again, ask for your blessed life. And we do so in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. It's nice to be in a small community, and we have so many wonderful religious leaders that really do get involved and help us out in this community, so we appreciate that. I've also asked tonight that Officer Tiffany Driscoll would sing the national anthem for us tonight, so if she could come up, if everyone could please stand. And Tiffany, thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. You can all be seated now. Well, I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I would like to start with a few introductions tonight. Since I can't see out very well now, if somebody has walked in, I hope I catch everybody that we've given special invitations for. First one I'd like to introduce is representing U.S. Senator Harry Reid is Aga Pinkerton. I think she's at this table here. Thank you for coming out tonight. We also have representing Congressman Joe Heck is Joy LeBlanc. Joy, thank you. And I found out they're both Boulder City residents. So you live in the best city in the state too. So next we have our famous Senator, Nevada State Senator Joe Hardy. It's always hard being at the same events because they always applaud louder for Joe than they do for me. And I didn't quite see if Commissioner Scow made it tonight. If not, we want to thank her for all the hard work she does on behalf of the city. We have our municipal court judge, Judge Miller. Thank you. And then we have our favorite District 12 regent and a former Boulder City Councilwoman, Dr. Andrea Anderson. We're very glad that she's with us tonight. From the Regional Transportation Committee, we have our General Manager, Tina Quigley. Tina, where are you at? You need to stand up. You know, last legislative session, Dr. Hardy did this great thing by introducing a bill and getting it passed for our Boulder City bypass and the tolling. But the smartest thing he did in that bill was to put the responsibility to the RTC, because they really are a partnership, and we appreciate that. Now, Tina gave me a present before, and I asked her if this was the $400 million for our project, and she didn't really answer me. So I'm thinking probably not, but we're working on that, right? Okay. We have also, let's see, where am I down to now? And we have representing the Las Vegas Convention Authority, we have legal counsel Luke Pushnig. Thank you. And I hope I didn't destroy your name there. Cam will hit me afterwards for doing that. Then we have Vice President of Public Affairs, Vince Alberta. Thank you for coming out and being good partners and taking care of us out here in Boulder City. Representing the Nellis Air Force Base, we have Senior Master Sergeant Lynch. I have to say my favorite committee to be on besides the RTC is I'm on the Civilian Military Council, and it's just an honor to be on that and to learn more about the operations, but it really is an honor to be on that committee. We also have Veterans in Politics President Steve Sanson. There he is. I'd like to invite a few of our chairmen of some of our committees here, our advisory committees. Our Airport Advisory Committee Chair is Victor Thomas. We have our Civil Service Chairman, Marion Vince. And Planning Commission Chairman, Jim Gianosa. Once again, those are volunteer committees, and they do a great job for us, so we want to really thank them for that. Now, Lou, I'm not sure where you are, our city clerk. Did I get everybody? Sounds like it. Okay, we'll go ahead and begin tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow council members and city staff, and I will be introducing or talking about our city council here shortly, so I haven't forgotten them. Friends and neighbors, good evening. I'm pleased to once again be with you tonight to discuss the state of our great city. This has been a very good year in Boulder City. We've continued to weather the economic storms all around us. We've made important progress in stabilizing and improving our financial situation. We've completed significant community projects, and we've made important plans for our future. I'm pleased to review this progress with you tonight, and I hope it will give you the confidence and optimism that I've felt as we work together over the past year. Early in 2012, we conducted a survey of our residents as part of our strategic plan update. Our goal was to understand how people in Boulder City feel about our community, what's working well, what's important to them, and where we need to make improvements. Approximately 400 of you participated in that survey. You might be interested to know that as a city leaders, we did not participate in the survey, as we wanted to be sure the results represented our residents. However, what we learned from you in the survey is very much in line with our feelings. So as we discuss these results, I'm comfortable in using the pronoun we in reviewing these findings. You answered questions about quality of life, the performance and responsiveness of city government, and most importantly, what you see as the priorities for our city as we move forward in the coming years. Overall, it appears that you feel that Boulder City is headed in the right direction, that our quality of life is high, that we believe it will stay that way. Now you will notice my talk kind of goes along with some of the things that are up there. So I did that so you wouldn't have to be looking at me the whole time, which would give you some relief, I thought. Going back to that, this is one of my favorite slides of the survey. Of all survey respondents, 94% rated the quality of life in Boulder City as excellent or good. I couldn't agree more. Though this is great news, it is also a high standard that we must work hard to maintain. And as you'll see in the coming slides, we also think there's some room for improvement. 6 of 10 survey respondents positively rated the overall performance of Boulder City local government in providing programs and services to residents. But showing there is room for improvement, 28% of survey respondents rated local government performance as fair. 57% of survey respondents believe Boulder City provides just the right amount of programs and services to residents. However, 21% felt that Boulder City provides more, and another 21% indicated that Boulder City provides less in the way of programs and services residents need. Approximately half of all the survey respondents have contacted Boulder City employees or elected officials in the past to obtain information. Of that group, 7 out of 10 were satisfied with their most recent interaction. However, there is also room for improvement, as approximately 1 out of 5 who have contacted Boulder City employees or elected officials were not satisfied with their most recent interaction. Now, it is hard to make everyone happy, but responsiveness is important to us, and we will continue to try to do better. As you can see, we get our information about city government from a wide variety of sources. The most popular responses were Boulder City Review. Arnold, that should make you pretty happy. And by word of mouth. Now, there are definitely times when our communication processes need improvements. This should not be what it is like to pull information from the city. Nevertheless, in a relatively small town like Boulder City, it's no surprise that we feel like we can talk to one another to provide comments and feedback to our city government. Nearly 70% of us feel there is ample opportunity to do that. For the 30% who feel like they'd like more opportunity to interact with city government, I encourage you on behalf of the City Council and employees to give us a call, drop us an email, come to a City Council meeting, or to talk with us in person. The City Council has also designated Councilman Walker to be our official complaint department. I just wanted to make sure he was paying attention over there. I kind of saw him dozing off there. It's clear from the survey that we expect a lot of our city government. Of the 19 core government service items measured in the survey, 7 received a very high priority rating, and 12 received a high rating. None of the core government service items were given a moderate, low, or very low priority rating. The good news is that of the 19 core government service items, 4 received a very high performance rating, shown here with a dark green dot. 14 received a high performance rating, shown here with a light green dot, and 1 received a moderate rating. In considering these results, a good portion of the credit must go to our capable city staff who make these things happen. They are qualified and engaged in making sure our city meets your expectations and ours, and this demonstrates they are successful in meeting our needs. That's important information and certainly seems positive. However, there are other ways of looking at this data. That includes looking at how priorities compare to performance ratings. In these 3 areas, the city received positive performance to priority comparison ratings. These 9 received performance and priority ratings that were in parity or met expectations. And these 7 show where there's room for improvement. For us as city leaders and employees, this is an important performance review. Some of these items have been addressed even since the survey was performed, like the new recycling programs. And others, I believe, are well on their way. But we clearly need to do a better job as a city of sharing information about how they're being addressed. The management of city finances is one such item. I'll share information about the city finances in a few minutes that I think will help with this. Now, surveys are fun and interesting, though it seems as if we may be seeing too many of them. But surveys are not worth much unless the information is used to make a change. As I said before, the reason we did this survey was to help us in updating the city's strategic plan. We also held a number of neighborhood meetings and citywide workshops. Looking around the room tonight, you can see what we've done with these results, with the boards. Some of what you'll see on these boards are initiatives we've had underway for some time, and on some we've made tremendous progress. The research we've just reviewed reinforces many of the priorities we've had as a focus for quite some time. The strategic plan update resulted in 9 specific areas where we can focus our efforts in the coming years. I'd like to take a few minutes and briefly review what those areas are with you. Brand image. Who we are is important to us. We value our small town character and history, safe streets and neighborhoods, our responsive local government and services, outdoor recreation, and our leadership role in developing clean energy for the national infrastructure. To further these values, the city will develop and implement a brand image to assist the city in all operations, to guide future development, to continue to promote our image as a family-friendly community, a leader in clean energy, being the home of Hoover Dam and a center for outdoor recreation. Financial stewardship. Although the city has been able to withstand the recent national and regional economic downturn, it remains vulnerable to outside influences impacting its financial sustainability. Our residents place a high value on transparency in local government, and this transparency extends to fiscal decisions as well. The city will use taxpayer funds wisely through the development and implementation of long-term financial plans, sound budget and fiscal policies, long-term capital improvement plans, and a continued emphasis on diversifying its revenue stream. Infrastructure. The city considers its ability to provide critical utility services such as water, sewer, and electricity an asset. To ensure and protect our investment in these assets, the city will develop and implement a comprehensive asset management plan for our utilities, streets, sidewalks, and flood control. Next is communication. An efficient municipality provides a consistent and accurate information program that clearly conveys important and timely information to their residents. The city will develop and implement a comprehensive communication plan that will ensure regular, consistent, and accurate communication to our residents across all communication platforms. Next is economic development. Residents of our city enjoy a diverse and vibrant local economy, a stable property tax base, and plentiful open space. These components are critical to maintaining the quality of life. The city will continue to develop and implement redevelopment programs that will encourage existing businesses to remain in the city and will create opportunities for those new businesses that fit the city's small town atmosphere, reflect its commitment towards green energy, and are consistent with the city's brand and image to locate within the city. Next is programs and services. The city considers its employees, programs, facilities, buildings, and fleet valuable assets. Many of our buildings and facilities are in need of renovation and repair. Over the past couple of years, we've recognized the need to develop and implement a comprehensive long-term capital improvement plan for all city facilities, buildings and replacement maintenance plan for its fleet, all of which reflect the priorities of our residents. Sustainability. The city places value on a sustainable community that embraces the protection of open space, clean air, efficient utilities, minimal solid waste stream, renewable energy production, and our contribution to the national effort for a sustainable energy source. To further the city's efforts, a sustainability plan will be developed and implemented that will reduce the consumption of natural resources, protect our clean air and open space, increase recycling, and encourage the development of renewable energy sources. This is one of those areas where we've made significant progress already. Transportation. The city values our multiple options for transportation, such as our ample street system, pedestrian pathways, bicycle paths and routes, mass transit, and parking opportunities. To further enhance these opportunities, the city will develop and then implement a formal mobility plan that addresses ways to maintain and enhance these multiple transportation opportunities. The Nevada Way project is a perfect example of how multiple modes of transportation can make up what's known as a complete street. Public safety. The city values our community as a place where its residents and visitors feel safe and comfortable as they live, work, and play. Our community places a high value on emergency management, code enforcement, and low crime and accident rates. To preserve and further enhance our community, the city will continue to foster an environment that will emphasize our small town values through the effective delivery of public safety services and functions. And I do just want to take a moment to express our gratitude to our public safety officers. They do a great job. Now I'd like to move on to the financial plan update. Whereas many other cities' finances and budgets have continued down a slippery slope, this is not an accurate picture of our city's financial plan. In April 2011, the City Council adopted its first financial plan for the city. The plan had three significant areas of focus. First, debt reduction. Second, rebuilding reserves and funding capital needs. And third, stabilizing utility rates and property taxes. The nexus of the financial plan was the additional revenue to be generated from solar leases. Instead of growing the size of government because of the increased revenues, the idea behind the plan was to use the revenues to make city government operations sustainable over time. Let me focus here for just a couple of minutes to make some important points about the debt reduction portion of our financial plan. Boulder City Golf Course revenue bonds are currently scheduled to be retired in 2025. By following our financial plan and utilizing revenues from our solar leases, an extra $1.2 million will be paid in 5 consecutive years in addition to the scheduled payments. The result is that those bonds will be retired in 2017 rather than 2025, and we'll save ourselves about $2 million in interest. We'll remove the burden of these debt service payments from the general fund and place ourselves in a much more secure and sustainable financial position. Currently, there is an interfund loan from the utility fund to the general fund to cover part of the cost of the Boulder Creek Golf Course. Each year, the scheduled debt payment service is $750,000. A portion of this payment is generated from the golf course revenues, and the rest is from the general fund. The financial plan allocates additional payments from the general fund once the revenue bonds have been retired. Under this new schedule, this debt will be retired about 3 years early, thus strengthening the utility fund. Boulder City is responsible for a portion of the cost of the third intake project by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Our current water rate structure cannot support the debt payments associated with assessment of $13 million. Our financial plan calls for the $750,000 that I spoke about previously to be allocated toward the third intake's annual payment. In addition, $350,000 generated from an earlier water rate increase has been allocated towards this debt payment. And additional money from the solar lease revenues in the amount of about $500,000 to $700,000 will also be used towards that debt. These combined actions will result in the debt being retired at least 4 years early, with significant interest savings. Finally, our raw water line project is the biggest single debt the city has and is associated with the construction of a needed $32 million raw water line to supply our current and future needs. According to the terms of the loan, this debt cannot be accelerated until 2017, but the financial plan will gradually reduce each year the transfer payments from the utility fund to the general fund, and that money will accumulate or be escrowed until we can begin accelerating the debt. This schedule will provide over $4 million in fiscal year 2018 to dramatically pay down the debt, and an additional $1.1 million can be added to the debt payments each year thereafter. Following this plan, our current financial plan, we will pay off this debt roughly 9 years early and save millions in interest. Another primary goal of the city's financial plan is to rebuild our reserves and fund our capital needs. To do this, we must restore the capital reserves in the general fund. For many years, we've needed to replace vehicles and equipment. We haven't been able to do that because of the downturn in the economy. The financial plan will allocate new solar lease revenues to provide $750,000 each year in fiscal years 2012 through 2016, and $1 million every year thereafter to address capital needs in the general fund. To rebuild the long-term capital reserves in the utility fund, the financial plan will allocate $500,000, allowing us to accumulate $4 million for long-term capital needs. As future solar lease revenues become available, another $1.5 million must be allocated annually to meet all our future capital needs. Without solar lease revenue, the capital needs would have to be financed through loans backed by rate increases. Finally, we need to create rainy day reserves in the general fund. Our informal policy is for the general fund balance to be maintained at 20% of expenditures. However, the recent economic downturn has eroded our general fund balance. The City Council will rebuild this reserve through responsible budgeting and will rebuild this reserve as lease revenue comes in and as we reduce our debt service. Reducing our debt and rebuilding our reserves allows us to operate more efficiently and with better financial security in many ways, including stabilizing our utility rates and property taxes. Specifically, this is accomplished by creating a rate stabilization reserve in the utility fund. The plan calls for $500,000 annually to be allocated towards a rate stabilization reserve, which can be used to cover spikes in wholesale energy costs. Why is this important? Many of you may remember in the last rate increase, we had that passed on to us by NV Energy, and we didn't have a reserve to help us get through some of those difficult times. Our goal in this area is to accumulate $2.75 million in this reserve. As you can probably tell, our financial plan is an area we are very passionate about. And the survey results we reviewed earlier certainly support the idea that responsible financial management must be one of the most important priorities for us as your elected officials and city staff. I think this has been one of the best kept secrets when it comes to Boulder City. We have passed, and the staff has done a great job in working on a financial plan during a very difficult economic downturn, and we've been able to generate revenue from another source other than taxes and apply that to make us financially stronger. And I think that's a message that needs to get out, and we need to do a better job at getting that message out. As we wrap up this evening, let me just review a few highlights from 2012. The energy zone in the El Dorado Valley continues to play a vital role in our community. The financial stability and revenue it brings are irreplaceable and contribute greatly to our ability to meet the goals of debt repayment and financial stabilization outlined earlier in the financial plan. Just a few years ago, this was a piece of desert with no financial benefit to the city. And yet, we saw potential there because of its location and the emergence of green energy. And we determined to capitalize on this untapped resource. It is now becoming one of our major revenue sources and will bless our community for many years. In the past, I've spoken extensively about the need for a bypass around Boulder City and the importance this will play in the future of our community. Let me give you a quick update on the progress of the Boulder City Bypass project. In December, the Regional Transportation Commission completed a preliminary feasibility analysis. Though there is a lot of detailed information in this report, the bottom line is that pursuing its completion is an important goal for Boulder City and for Southern Nevada. There will be an I-11 designated and built between Phoenix and Las Vegas, as state and federal governments understand the importance of this segment, the regional importance of this highway. Plans continue to move forward for the development of a deepwater shipping port in Mexico. This will mean that each year thousands of cargo ships laden with goods from around the globe will dock and unload their cargo there. That cargo will then be loaded in perhaps thousands of trucks, many of which will enter the United States, come through Phoenix, and on through Boulder City to service the western states. Highway 93 is the designated route. It's important that we look to the future and we be proactive. Now, we tried that before the bridge was opened, and unfortunately, we weren't very successful with that. But I know so many elected officials and city staff worked very hard on that. We now need to position ourselves again before this deepwater port is built, because we're going to experience something worse than what we've seen. The temporary relief we received from the widening of a small stretch of highway through Boulder City will not be adequate to handle this kind of interstate commerce. Again, this is a burden our small community should not have to bear alone, and we need to find a solution for that now. And the real solution is Interstate 11. I do want to go back. I think I skipped a part. For those who are concerned that a bypass would take away from businesses, because I think that is a very legitimate concern, the RTC's toll study shows that the majority of cars will continue to follow the current route through Boulder City. Something we all recognize is important to our business and the vitality of our town. Next, we have our recycling program, and I want to thank Mike Bassini and Robert from BC Waste Free. They're here tonight. They have a presentation in the back. You ought to take a look at that, and I'll share a few things about that program with you now. The council in 2012 unanimously approved a new state-of-the-art recycling program for Boulder City. The new no-sort system, known as BC Waste Free, went into effect just 2 months ago, and already participation has doubled. Imagine where we'll be once every resident is doing their part. The city's ultimate goal is to keep all recyclable materials out of the city's landfill. Taking a few simple steps will reduce our waste stream, extend the life of our landfill, and save us all tax dollars in the long run. And you can feel good about while doing it because it saves our environment. And this is the part that I want to emphasize, and adds no cost to our residents. We worked out a recycling program that is completely free to our residents and businesses here. And we have great partners with BC Disposal. They do a great job, and they're a valued community partner in this important effort. In 2012, Public Works received a permit from the Health District to expand the city's landfill. This extension provides at least an additional 30-plus years of landfill life. The recycling program we just spoke about will extend that life many more years. Perhaps one of the most visible changes in our community this year is the revitalization of Nevada Way. The community survey clearly showed that attracting businesses and tourists to our community is a priority for all of us. And we have known for many years that a new face for the center of town would be an important step in the right direction. Thank you for your patience as we work to complete this phase of the downtown revitalization. We especially want to thank those businesses along that segment. This is the type of project that builds pride in our community, and one that has brought a lot of positive feedback from those who have visited downtown. I do want to take a minute and recognize our former city manager, Vicki Mays, if you please stand, and our public works director, Scott Hansen. They were the ones that had this vision, that pushed this forward. And Scott, you and your staff did a great job. We experienced a lot of problems with a lot of the underground work because it was so dated. And those are things that you can't really prepare for. But our staff worked very well with the businesses, and it turned out great. Thank you. Around town, a number of other projects, some very noticeable and others rather obscure, have been completed in 2012. Though their individual scope or impact may be small, collectively they contribute to a well-functioning, safe, and attractive Boulder City. In addition to what I've already mentioned, there have been some important additions to our public safety resources, including new vehicles, technology, and personnel. At the close of 2012, Vicki Mays retired after many years of faithful service in our city. Her last 8 years were spent as city manager, and she capably performed her duties there and left our city strong, vibrant, and well-positioned to meet the needs and challenges of the coming year. The list of accomplishments you see appearing on the screen are just a few of the ways in which she used her talent and professionalism to make Boulder City better. Such a high-profile position naturally comes with its share of controversy and conflict, but Vicki has done her best to balance the demands of citizens and city leaders. I extend my personal thanks to Vicki for her talent, her dedication, and her friendship. We wish her well. So Vicki, thank you. I'm not sure where you are, but thank you. We want to welcome David Frazier, our new city manager. Just this week, David began his duties as our new city manager. David, would you please stand up? There he is, right over there. Many of you have been able to meet with him tonight. David comes to Boulder City from northern Nevada. We did not hold that against him, and has served as the executive director for the Nevada League of Cities for the past 9 years. League of Cities, David has a thorough understanding of municipal policy, legislative, and intergovernmental affairs, and issues that impact local government as well as the state of Nevada. David is married to Anna, and they have 4 children, Riley, Jason, Tommy, and Ben, who they'll be moving down here shortly, from what I understand. David brings extensive public management experience to Boulder City, including 10 years experience as city manager. We want to welcome David and his family to Boulder City. This group of men and women who sit behind me tonight deserve our recognition and appreciation. No city council is perfect, and as I've said repeatedly tonight, we recognize there's room for improvement. This is a group of people who get that. They know that we can always do better, and they work hard to make that happen. It's a privilege to serve with men and women who truly understand that they were elected by you to be public servants. And that word servant accurately characterizes their efforts. I thank them for their dedication and gratefully acknowledge their sacrifices and hard work. I hope you'll take a moment to do the same. We have Councilman Walker, Councilman McCoy, and Councilman Woodbury. Stand up, come on. I would introduce the different committees that they sit on, but basically we gave those all to Peggy Levitt, who wasn't able to join us tonight. So most of them would go under her as well. I also want to take a minute to thank their spouses and families. It's an honor to serve, but it is a sacrifice at times. And I also want to thank my wife, Allison, for her support over these last 10 years. And I believe she's over here somewhere. I'm going to embarrass her. Allison, you need to stand up. I also have my beautiful daughter, Jessica, who's with her. Jessica, stand up. There you go. It's always great when you get to embarrass your kids a little bit. As I said when we started this evening, this has been a good year for Boulder City. I hope you felt that way as we reviewed together the progress and planning that have occurred in 2012. As our financial position strengthens and our future brightens, I hope you'll share the optimism I feel. I am grateful for your candor and input as we mapped out our course for the coming years. And with the City Council, I am committed to follow through on the goals we've set for ourselves as a community. It is an honor to serve as your mayor, and I value deeply the trust you place in me. I love this community that has been my home for more than 4 decades. I think we have been blessed by the foresight and service of many men and women who have served in public office or as city employees. I am grateful every day for the legacy they have left us. I also want to take a moment and just thank some of our staff that really throws this whole event together, and makes me look a lot smarter than I really am. And Brock Armentrout is up here. He helps throw together all the technology. Roger Hall helps a lot with everything, setting this whole place up with the sound. And I've also got to thank my bosses, the city clerks, who really also helped me kind of tie everything together, and they are bossy. So I do appreciate Lou and Tammy and Tina. And I also want to point out that I believe it was Tina, and the others did help with all the pictures and the centerpieces of all these tables. It is my hope that in 2013 will be everything we hope, and that we will do our part in shaping our community into something we can be proud to pass on to future generations. Thank you. You guys, come on up. I think we need to have the city council come on up. I never know if I'm being applauded because of my speech or the fact that it's finally over. So we appreciate you all coming out. Thank you.